morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Kelvin. It's an honor to introduce our speakers today, Tony Shen from New Zealand. Tony got a civil engineering degree in Taiwan, a master's degree in Cardiff University, UK. Before Tony moved to New Zealand, he got a lot of civil engineering experience. He worked with Obayashi, Taiwan, and Cpeng Construction in Hong Kong before. Right now, Tony is working with Naylor Love Construction in New Zealand. Today's topic is from Taiwan PE to New Zealand PE. Let's welcome our speaker, Chartered Professional Engineer, Tony Shen.
Hi everyone. I share my screen first. So welcome everyone. My name is Shen. You can call me Tony if you like. Today I would like to share how did I from Taiwan Cpeng to New Zealand Cpeng. Okay. First, background qualification. I graduated from National Cheng University Civil Engineering. Then after graduate, I went to Chongyan Christian University for my master in law degree. Then I went to do my compulsory military service. And after that, I went to Cardiff University, UK to do my master in science, postgraduate degree. That is my qualification. Next thing is about my work experience. After I graduate from UK, I joined Taiwan Obayashi Corporation, Taiwan Dalinzu. I was a site engineer. And after Obayashi, I went to Hong Kong. I worked for Shen Engineering Limited. The project was in Macau, which is a brand new casino building. And I was a senior site engineer. And after that project, I think, okay, maybe next up might be I need to immigrate to another place. So I immigrate to New Zealand. So now currently I am a site engineer. I work for Naylor Love Construction, Auckland. Okay, that is my work experience. Next thing is my professional registration. 2012, I passed the Taiwan Chartered Professional Engineer examination assessment, become chartered engineer in Taiwan. 2018, I become APEC engineer in the International Professional Engineer in Taiwan. 2019, I become a charter member of Engineering New Zealand. I will explain what is charter member of Engineering New Zealand. It's a different kind of system. Last year, 2021, luckily, I finally passed the Chartered Professional Engineer assessment of Engineering New Zealand and get chartered here. So now I'm a New Zealand Cpeng. One thing maybe you find quite interesting is my registration in Taiwan is civil, but in New Zealand, I convert to structural. I will explain to you how to make it if you want to. Yeah. Inspiration. I mean, why I immigrated to New Zealand and why I joined the Engineering New Zealand to become the chartered professional engineer is the inspiration was on Taiwan APEC engineer website. It shows if you are Taiwan if you are Taiwan APEC engineer or Taiwan International Professional Engineer, when you is doing the New Zealand Cpeng assessment, you will go through a short path or the different path, different from other people. So when I saw this, I think, hey, that might be a good chance for me, and because I can become a Cpeng in New Zealand, I think it might be an advantage. So this is why in the very beginning, one of the reasons let me choose New Zealand, immigrate to here, and become chartered engineer. That is the inspiration. Next thing, I would like to introduce the Engineering New Zealand membership category. This is really important. You have to know if you are interested in immigrate to here. First category is student. So if you are a student of any university, you can join the student membership, and that is free. And the second one is emerging professional. In this category, which means you graduate from university and you start to work. However, your work experience is less than 5 years. The next one is member. So the difference between member and the emerging professional is, for member category, you need to have more than 5 years work experience. Okay. The next level is charter member, CMENGNZ, charter member, Engineering New Zealand. So from member to charter member, you need to have some, you need to have more than 5 years work experience, and you need to pass the assessment held by Engineering New Zealand. And that assessment is really, really similar to Charter Professional Engineer assessment. The advantage of Taiwan APEC engineer and the Taiwan International Professional Engineer is you can directly become charter member of Engineering New Zealand without the knowledge assessment. Just like writing a very, very long report, it's difficult. So I will say, if you are ready, Taiwan APEC engineer or Taiwan International Professional Engineer, then you can directly jump from student, emergency professional, member, directly to charter member. Well, I believe it saves you more than 5 years. Okay. Then after charter member, they have fellow, something that's not including in my today's topic. Like I said, charter member of Engineering New Zealand and the charter professional engineer, they hold quite similar knowledge assessment. So you were wondering, what is the difference between charter member Engineering New Zealand and charter professional engineer? So based on the assessment guide issued by Engineering New Zealand, if you want to become a charter professional engineer, you need to have requires evidence of New Zealand specific good practice. So that is the difference between CMENG-NZ and the CPENG, because like I said, if you are a foreigner, you can become CMENG-NZ, but maybe you don't have the New Zealand specific good practice. So that is quite different. And when you do the charter professional engineer assessment, the New Zealand specific standard or good practice guide will become very critical when your assessor interview you. So they will focus on that. Okay. Next thing. So this is a table shows you what is the difference between charter member and CPENG. So the first thing you can see, quality mark of current New Zealand specific competence. So you need to know the local design code, the local good practice guide, if you want to become CPENG. And you need to be reassessed at least every 6 years, but it doesn't apply to charter member, Engineering New Zealand charter member. Yeah, so I think that is the difference place. Okay, next thing is the CPENG assessment. So you can see the preparation. Basically, all this material is from the CPENG assessment guide issued by Engineering New Zealand. So you can go to their website and download if you like. Okay, so CPENG assessment preparation 4 to 6 years experience. So that is from emerging professional member whole count. That's 4 to 6 years. And next thing is stage 2 is validation. So basically, during that period, you need to complete your assessment form and submit your application to Engineering New Zealand. Then your assessment board will do the evaluation, which is 8 to 10 weeks. During that evaluation stage, your main assessor will ring you to discuss your application, to discuss something he doesn't understand, or he will ask you some question, or he will ask you to supply more information. I'll give you more detail later. And then your main assessor, there will be an interview between you and your main assessor and another assessor. Both of the assessors will interview you, ask you questions, give you hard time, and challenge your design, challenge your answer, which you wrote in your application form. From my experience, it took around nearly 1.5 hours. It's a torture. So yeah, it's hard. Okay, the final stage is the stage 4 is the recommendation. So there's a board of Engineering New Zealand. Your assessor will submit the report to the board, and it says, okay, you are good enough to become a CPENG, or oh, nah, you're not good enough. So you need to supply more information or redo a reassessment. Blah 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 blah. So I'm quite lucky. I passed it in the first place. And the final stage, stage 5, is 1 week decision. The board, they will read the report from your assessor and make their final decision to say, oh, you are good enough to become a CPENG, or you're not good enough. Do it next year. Okay, next. So regarding the assessment, there's some, it's involved in below stuff. So first, you need to fill its practice area, civil or structure. In New Zealand, civil means infrastructure, like road, bridge, something like that. Then the structure is more like design, a building design. So in my situation, basically because I work for a main contractor who only do the commercial building, so I choose structural. So it's different from Taiwan. Taiwan civil and the structural is different. I mean, falls in different category. And second thing is you need to have 2 current referees. So the referees need to be either charter member of Engineering New Zealand or charter professional engineer. So you need to, so 2 referees need to recommend you. So it's very important because your assessor will ring them, ask question regarding about you. So you need to have you need to have referee. So what happened if you don't know, if you don't know anyone, you don't have any referee here? What should you do? Okay, based on the Engineering New Zealand assessment guideline, the answer is you need to join more event held by Engineering New Zealand to know more people. Okay, if you are OTEA member, at least you have 1 referee, which is me. So yeah, the next thing is self assessment. That is a kind of various competency groups. I will say it's quite similar to the Taiwan APEC engineer application form. It's quite similar, but not 100%. It's quite similar. I'll give you more detail later. Next thing is evidence, your work record and your portfolio. For me, because I do a lot of temporary works design. For example, the precast panel propping. So in my work record and in my work portfolio, I attached my own panel propping design to the assessor. Next thing is CPD record for the past 2 years. So every year you need to complete 40 hours of CPD. CPD, it doesn't like Taiwan EPEC engineer CPD. Basically, the CPD hour, you can join event held by Engineering New Zealand. You can even self-study. You can attend seminar. So they trust you. So I don't think the CPD record will be a big issue. So all you need to do is go to Engineering New Zealand website and log in. I mean, keep your CPD record, then that's good enough. The next one is assessment panel assigned. So you work with main assessor. Like I said, your assessor will contact you and ask you many questions. The next one is interviewed by assessment panel. And final decision from competency assessment board. Okay, so this is the self-assessment. You can see for charter membership and the CPENG, the red square. So you need to have engineering knowledge, managing engineering work. Next one, professional acumen and developing technical solutions. That is the 4 competency group. Like I said, it's quite similar to Taiwan EPEC engineer application. The yellow circle, the yellow square is the knowledge assessment. That part is very, very difficult. It's not like sitting in a room to do a test. It's not. That is like a report. You need to complete all 8 assessment. That is a long writing assessment. So like I said, if you are already Taiwan EPEC engineer or Taiwan International Professional Engineer, then you don't need to go through the knowledge assessment, which is a great advantage. Evidence. So during the assessment, you need to supply the evidence. So like the work record, work portfolio. So like I said, in my example, I supply my panel propping design or other temporary works design to the assessor. And I remember they go through your design in very, very detail. And they challenge my design during my interview. So my advice will be, you need to make sure you gave them the nearly perfect stuff. Don't give them any chance to challenge you, because it's so nervous. Yeah. And you can set, and you can see from here. I mean, each competency group, you need to write 500 to 750 words. And if you are referencing all groups, then you may write over 2,000 words. So if you know how many words you need to write, then you have a basic idea. Okay, benefit. So why do you need to become a chartered professional engineer? Or why do you want to become a chartered member of Engineering New Zealand? What is the benefit? This table is from Engineering New Zealand salary survey. That is a 2020 survey result. And you can see this, if you are a CPENG, your total remuneration will around 144K. And if you are charter member, you just annually just 1,000 New Zealand dollar less than CPE and CPENG. However, if you are not chartered, this is 40K different. 40K different. So 1 New Zealand dollar equals to 20 new Taiwan dollar. So I believe that's a huge difference. So yeah, this is the benefit. Next thing I would like to talk about the work and life here, work and life in New Zealand. Before I go that, I would like to share my application document to you. So give me a second. Okay, so this is my application portfolio. You can see it's 14 pages. So first thing is self-assessment, like for example, engineering knowledge questions. So here, if within your practice area, we would like you to demonstrate your ability to understand and apply your knowledge of acceptable principles that support widely applied good practice for professional engineering, good practice and local knowledge for professional engineering in current where you work, and good practice for professional engineering specific to New Zealand. See, specific to New Zealand. Continually update your professional engineering knowledge and the skills to make sure they remain relevant. So, like I said, you need to mention about, for example, here, New Zealand Standard 1170, New Zealand Standard 3404, New Zealand Standard 3101. So if you don't mention about this, they will not believe you have New Zealand specific knowledge. Okay, so this is quite important. And like this, New Zealand Building Code Clause B1 structure. So this is the design code I used to design the returning wall. So you need to know this. And the MB, for example, next one, MBI Earthquake Geotechnical Engineering Practice, Module 6. Module 6 is very important for seismic. So if you don't know, you have no chance. And next thing is scaffolding best practice guide. This is special for New Zealand. Yeah. Next thing is manage engineering work question. So this is kind of how you manage your engineering work. Okay. Then next example, managing an engineering risk. So like I said, you need to mention about New Zealand Work Safe Guide because it talks about risk. So the New Zealand Work Safe Guide is very important. You need to show them you know that. I think the most important thing in this part is the limit of competence. You need to tell them what you don't know. Because for engineer, you cannot, you have not just know everything. So you need to be honest. You need to show them what you don't know. So that is the limit of your competence. So your assessor will know, okay, which part is your weak spot. Next thing, developing technical solution. So this is like, in this part, this is like which engineering software I use. So I share the model I use, and I share my design result to them. So make that them believe I'm using some technical software or solution to help me. Activity name, Onehunga High School new development. So this is the project I have done here. So I need to say your evidence record, you better have the local project work experience, because this is the best way to show your assessor you have sufficient local knowledge and sufficient local experience. This is quite important. Okay, I quite like this part. Evidence to support professional acumen. So this is the issue between me and the project engineer and the project manager. Is we have the excavation situation, and I design like an open cut. So I design an open cut, and I specify everything, like the open cut cannot more than 45 degree because the internal facial angle is something, and because that open cut is quite deep, the total depth is around I cannot remember, but the PM, they didn't follow my design, and they do open cut in 75 degree, so which makes me really angry, pissed me off. So I report to my company immediately, and wrote an email to him. I said, dude, you are doing wrong. You are doing wrong thing. I know you are PM, but you are not following my design. And if there is any issues, I mean, any accidents happened, then you need to face the investigation of WorkSafe, which is nothing I can do. So yeah, so this is the evidence show the assessor. I mean, you are a person who follow the rules, and you are brave to point out, because if you see something wrong, you need to point it out. That is a very basic requirement for engineer. Okay, work and life in New Zealand. So if you want to know, okay, I do the work part first. Find a job. This is so important. You need to find a job here. And for engineer, I mean, either civil or structural engineer, they always fall into a long-term skill shortage category. So if you apply a resident visa for New Zealand, because you are in long-term skill shortage, so it is not too hard. But the most important thing is you need to have resident visa or work visa first. One example is, I mean, every month my company will share they are looking for someone. They're looking for a new person to join our company. But they always ask, you need to have a valid work visa or resident visa. You can be legally working in New Zealand. I think that's a very basic requirement for before you get a job. And you need to know people. You have the links, because I think New Zealand is the job market in here is kind of company they prefer company internal recommendation for someone. So it might be easier for you to find a job. So it is very important to join OTEA. So if my company needs someone, I can pass that information to all you guys. Okay, so this is find a job. Next time is in New Zealand, you need to only work 40 hours per week. In basically 35, I said actually 35. You have morning tea, you have lunch break, you have afternoon tea. So and the overall work environment is quite casual. However, you need to complete your job first. So for me, basically, currently I only work 4 days a week. So I don't work on Friday. I go to play golf on Friday. So I like it. And next thing is annual leave. So since the first day you work for any New Zealand company, legally you have 20 days annual leave and the 10 days paid sick leave. This is very basic one. Next thing is flexible working hours. I quite like that. Sometimes because some of my colleagues, they need to send their kid to the school before they go to work. So they will arrive at the office a little bit late, but they will work a little bit late. I don't think they do. In my example, I prefer to start my work from 7:30, then I can leave the office by 4, then do something I like. So the flexible working hours is quite good. The next thing is flexible working arrangement, like work from home. I know during the COVID, many people work from home, but actually I started to work from home before COVID. Because when I do the design work or when I review some shop drawing, I told my boss I need to have a very quiet environment with my big monitor. And my supervisor is very happy. So I can work from home. Not every day, of course, not every day. Okay. And next thing is Friday afternoon from 3:30 p.m. That is start the happy hour. So the company will supply you free wine and a beer, and you can have some have a chat with your colleague. And the last thing is family first. So which means, I mean, if you tell your boss you need to leave earlier today because your son has some issue, or your son is sick, or your daughter is something, or your dog is not happy, your boss will say, "Go, no problem at all." I quite like that principle. I quite like that family first stuff. Okay, last thing is Q&A. The first question from Min is, can you share some popular design software used in NV other than in Taiwan? Basically, we use the same design software, no different from Taiwan. And if you are familiar with the design software, the design software which we use in Taiwan, then here you will feel very easy because not much different. And yeah, so personally I use like for the returning world design, I will use the Plexus, and MicroStrand, some software, some design software like that. And 50% of my design I use my hand. So yeah, okay. Yeah, that is my presentation. So do you have any questions?
Thank you, Tony. I think Tony gave us very valuable information about engineer interested working in New Zealand and how to become a chartered professional engineer in New Zealand. And Tony also explained in very detail about the assessment process and registration process and what's the key point. So I think it's a great opportunity today. Anybody have any other question? Oh, Beth.
Hey, Tony, I have a question. First, thank you for your presentation, very detailed. Well, actually, I'm based in US, so I don't really understand the process in New Zealand. So my question is, even you have an APAC engineer and you want to explore your career in New Zealand, you have to find an employer who will hire you to sponsor your visa, so you can stay, right? Or you will get a visa before you get hired. So that's my question about the visas in New Zealand. Like how they do it. Thank you.
Basically, okay, let me put it this way. If you are from UK, if you are from USA, the company will sponsor your visa. If you are from Taiwan, if you're from other countries, then you need to get your visa first. So I think that is the first requirement, a very basic requirement for get a job here, because the HR in the company, they will check your visa first. Recently, Naylor, it is very difficult for them to sponsor your visa application. So you better have your visa first and start to find a job. It will be easy way to find a job. Yeah. I'm sorry, there's one question I cannot read again. So can you type?
This is Pablo speaking. I just have a question. I think you have mentioned you got a charter professional in New Zealand. However, I think you are a geotechnical engineer, right? So I'm interested in even your charter is have been registered as a structure. It mean whether what kind of field you got the charter engineer. So any limitation will be restricted. You got a different aspect, different professional charter. Do you understand my question?
Yes. So, okay, first, I'm not geotech engineer. I am a Taiwan civil engineer, 土木技师. The reason why I apply the structural category in New Zealand is, sorry, is the civil category in New Zealand limited to bridge, road, but I am doing commercial building. Most of my project is commercial building, and it belongs to the structural category. So when I doing my assessment, I discuss this issue with my assessor, and he reckoned I belongs to structural category. So this is why I charter in structure. Do I answer your question?
Yeah. So further asking, is meaning whether you, if possible, you can do the building design. I mean, even you do the geotechnical design. Once you got the charter in the structural category, in your business, whether it's not accepted, whether the building it can be in your business for the structure. I mean, for the structure design, it's possible. You do haven't got a charter in the category of structural field.
I understand. Yes, you can design a building. Yes, if in New Zealand, if you charter in structural category, yes, you can design a building. But in my application, I told my assessor quite clearly, I don't do that. I don't do the building. I don't do the building design. I do temporary works design. So yeah, if you can do building design if you want, but I don't know how to do it. Be honest.
But if you hire employee, they can do the structure design for you, and you do the check. It's competent to you to in charge for this business. No.
First of all, I will not take that work, because that is out of my competency. So if you should not do something out of your competency, right? So in my case, I will not do that.
Oh, okay, understood.
Okay. Any other questions?
Tony, I just thought about like two other questions, to be honest. So the first, you share the process of especially the assessment. Seems like they take very seriously, consider all your experience and your ethics and your knowledge about the engineering business. So I have a question. Because you passed the first time, what if you fail? Can you reapply next year, or it has to be like you have to take 3 years more experience to be reapply again? So that's my first question. And my second question.
Wait. So let me answer your first question first. Otherwise, I will forget.
Sure.
Sorry. Okay. If you fail, you just reapply. You don't have to wait another 2 or 3 hours. No. Simple. And in most cases, you assess. I mean, the concept of the assessor is quite different from someone who want to give you a hard time. Your assessor is trying to help you. That is very, very different attitude. So your assessor will try their best to help you pass the assessment. So this is why there are 8 to 10 weeks. You need to work your assessor. So your assessor will ask you to give them more evidence, more information to help him do his report and recommend you to the board that you are good enough to become a chartered professional engineer. This is what I feel during the whole assessment process, because the assessor told me, Tony, I think basically you are already Cpeng in Taiwan. You are already APEC engineer. You are already international professional engineer. There's no doubt of your engineering knowledge. And when he reviewed all my past work portfolio, he's quite happy. But during the interview, he still challenged my design. You know, this is what he has to do. But his attitude is trying to help you. So don't worry about if you fail. If you fail, you just redo it. You just redo it again. No drama. Okay. Next question.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. Would you mind sharing some like business opportunities? What area have more opportunities to find jobs in New Zealand, like infrastructure or commercial buildings or residential areas? What's your take? Yeah.
I will say, okay, because I work for main contractor.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, we need a lot of site engineer because site managers. I mean, New Zealand is not like Taiwan. If you graduate from university, you go to the site. If you work for the main contractor, you go to the site. The site. So the site manager in Taiwan, they graduate from university. So theoretically, they have very basic engineering knowledge. Theoretically. However, in New Zealand, you don't need to be graduate from university again, and you can be a site manager. So to be honest with you, some of my colleagues, site managers, they will go to see me and ask me, what does the drawing say, or what kind of engineering knowledge they don't have. So they will ask me that question. When they come to see me, I'm more than happy to answer their question because I really don't know, but they don't. I rather they very honest, say they don't know something. I don't want them pretend they know everything. Yeah, and if you want to work for the design consultant, and I know there are a lot of job vacancies here. I work with many design consultants. The structural consultants, and they're always looking for people. So yes, there are opportunities. So either civil or commercial buildings. Yes.
Shen Wu have question.
Yes.
Hi, Tony. Thank you for wonderful sharing. I'm a newbie in this field. So I have a question that there's a quantity surveyor who don't equip the structure design skills, that's like the education of civil engineer in Taiwan, still have a chance to apply the character professional engineer like you wrote?
I am not sure where it falls to what kind of practice area and the practice category. So chartered professional engineer in New Zealand, they have different practice area, different practice category. So even though you are a very, very senior PM or a senior GM, as long as you can prove you have sufficient knowledge, local knowledge, sufficient management experience, yes, you have the chance. But that is not the pathway I went through.
Maybe I can add on something because I know Shen, you are QS, right? I think in New Zealand and Australia, they are also the registered quantity survey. It's also kind of professional certificate in your area. So I think, yeah. So you maybe can consider about this. So registered quantity survey is also quite popular in this area. Yeah.
Thank you.
One more thing. I think the quantity surveyor is falls in a different category, but you don't need to be a chartered professional engineer. Just be a quantity surveyor, and this is a very good category.
Yeah, similar. You also have to join the quantity survey association, become a member. Then you also have to pass the interview and some assessment, like the professional engineer. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And I think another advantage for the QS is all the high-level people in my company, high-level people who has the company credit card. They are all from the QS. So don't be an engineer, be a QS. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Credit card. Okay.
Is there any discipline, hydraulic engineering, in a chartered professional engineer in New Zealand?
I think yes. I think yes, based on my memory. Based on my memory. I think after this event, maybe I will I will share the assessment guide on the OTEA Facebook page or any place, so you guys can download it, so you can find the answer there. And any more question, you can email me. I'm more than happy to, and I'm more than happy to answer your question.
So let's give our time to our Jasmine in New Zealand.
Okay, thanks, Tony, and thanks for your sharing. And I think I totally understand. It's taking a long time to get you where it is now. So congratulations on your big achievement, and well done. And it's a great outcome. Yes, I really admire you. So now I think to conclude today's webinar in English, now I will play the music again, and then we will change to our conversation in Chinese. Okay.